I'd like to call the December City Council meeting to order. We will all stand, but I would like the scouts to come forward, if you would, please. Come on all the way up, fellas. Come on.
Oh, my. County.
Good. I haven't forgotten too much. We're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country, and you fellows will salute.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
Now, so that hold on, fellas, so that the clerk can get this down in a minute, what troop are you fellows representing?
303.
Once more? Good, and that is where is the location? St. Boniface, okay. Good, well, congratulations, fellas. Now you can all get a citizenship merit badge. And the mayor will sign for it. Okay? And hold them to it. Thank you very much for coming, fellas.
Thank you.
Right.
Would the clerk then conduct a roll call of the members present?
Heidi?
Here.
Here.
Reynolds?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Aldersmeyer?
Here.
Williamson?
Here.
Downing?
Here.
Campbell?
Here.
Quorum present.
Nancy didn't say aye.
I was shaking hands.
We're growing. Yeah, I know. They can't vote. They're too young.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You have all received the minutes of the November 4th City Council meeting. What's the pleasure of the council? Mr. Downing? Approve, please.
Second.
Any corrections? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Presentation and disposal of claims,
There are none.
petitions, presentations, and communications.
There are none.
All right. Reports of city offices on file in the city clerk's office.
Clerk's office, monthly October. Fleet maintenance, monthly October. Water works, monthly October. Water pollution control, monthly October. Police department, monthly September and October.
Thank you. All of those reports are on file in the city clerk's office. If any of you would like to examine them, you're welcome to during the regular business hours of the clerk's office. I believe that is what? From
8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
8 to 4:30. Thank you very much. Ordinances for second reading. And fellas, what we'll do here, ordinance for second reading, it has been brought before the city council once before at the November meeting. Most ordinances have to be approved by 2 votes, some of them by only 1. But the ordinances that the clerk will bring up today are ordinances on second reading, so this will be the final hearing on, and if you have any questions about them, please step forward, identify yourself, and ask whatever you'd like. Go ahead.
Okay. Ordinance 2013-22 amended. An ordinance amending sections within Chapter 3.04, Chapter 8.03, Chapter 13.01, Chapter 13.02 as they pertain to inspection and fees.
Now, you're going to have a test on that in a moment. You're going to have to relate what this lady just said. No, seriously, what we're talking about, and you might explain that to the folks, Jenny. This is the city engineer.
Good evening, Jenny Leshny, City Engineer. Back in August, it's been a few months, we started the process of looking at our building permit fees and what we charge people to review, plan review, and to do the inspections. And in addition to that, the fire department looked at annual inspection fees for fire inspections. And we had several working sessions with the council committee and with our initial proposed fees, and out of that committee we came a revised fee schedule, which was a little bit lower, but we felt like we could still generate the revenue that we needed to fund an additional electrical inspection position within our department. And then also Ron Ritchie, our fire inspector at the time was working with us and looking to fund additional inspection and administration in his department as well. So after 2 committee meetings and then our first reading, we have our second and final reading of that particular ordinance. And I believe we have an amendment to that because in looking at it, we found a Scrivener's error, I guess we could say. So I don't know if Mr. Shawjan, if you want to review that, or do you want me to go into that, what that was?
Basically, it was just a Scrivener's error on the last chart. It repeated the years when it should have been the next set of years that would increase the penalty. Procedurally, I think we would need to bring this ordinance up, which I don't think there's been a motion to hear and approve it for second reading, and then a motion to amend it to substitute the amended ordinance that corrects the Scrivener's error. Vote on that motion to amend, and then you can consider the vote on the ordinance as amended.
Very good. I will entertain a motion to accept this ordinance as amended. Mr. Clinker.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Brown.
Second.
Thank you. And there is a Scrivener's error, and
The Scrivener's error is corrected on the amended motion, or on the amended ordinance that you have in front of you, which is in item 11 of the ordinance, the chart regarding the surcharge for resurfacing, tear up the street that we've brand new surface on it. It depends on how long it's been in terms of what that surcharge is. And it was a repetitive, I could think it was the 2 to 3 years that was repeated when it should have been the next category. So it's been corrected now, so it'd be my recommendation to City Council approve the amendment to correct that Scrivener's error, and then you can vote on the ordinance as amended.
I will entertain a motion to correct the Scrivener's error.
So moved.
Second, Mr. Heidi.
Second.
Take a voice vote. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Thank you. Now we will consider the entire ordinance as amended and corrected. Are there questions by members of the Common Council? Members of the audience wish to address this particular ordinance? Yes, sir. What?
Going too fast.
Going too fast. Okay, very good. Sound like my wife. I'm going to slow down. The Scrivener's error is just an error in the particular document. It can be a spelling error. None of you fellows are confronted with those in school, but it can be almost anything, but it's a very minor type of thing. So that's why it is being corrected. So if there are no questions by members of the audience, none from the City Council, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2013-32 as amended and corrected?
Heidi,
Aye.
Clinker,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Williamson,
Aye.
Downey.
Aye.
Ordinance passes, amended ordinance passes 7-0.
7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ordinance 2013-38.
An amendment to ordinance 2010-11 establish a local Wabash Avenue Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana, 504 Wabash Avenue.
What's the pleasure of the council? Yes, sir.
Mr. President, I move that we hear and approve ordinance 2013-38.
Mrs. Williamson?
Second.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Amy Jacobson, Community Development Director. The owners of 504 Wabash Avenue have not paid the property taxes on 504 Wabash Avenue in over 2 years, and it is now at risk of going to tax sale according to the county offices. And therefore, staff recommends that this ordinance be denied.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much. Any questions by members of the audience? Being none, the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2013-38.
Heidi,
No.
Blinker,
No.
Reynolds,
No.
Brown,
No.
Allersmeyer,
No.
Williamson,
No.
Downing.
No.
Ordinance fails, 0-7.
Thank you. On that, fellas, that involved they were going to make that a historic site, and because the gentleman has not paid his taxes in 2 years, the redevelopment group has asked that we defeat that, and that was the reason why that was defeated unanimously. Ordinance 2013-39.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 7.06, Chapter 7.09, and Section 13.03 to address certain parking matters, including yard parking and inoperable vehicles.
Were you talking about me talking too quickly, or were you talking... Mr. Downing?
I move to hear and approve ordinance 2013-39.
Mrs. Allersmeyer?
Second.
Comments by members of the Common Council. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the council, thank you for hearing this ordinance this evening. Just a quick recap. As you know, one of the duties and responsibilities that we have here through the engineer's office is helping to maintain the integrity of our neighborhoods, and one of the ways that we do that is through the Ordinance Violation Bureau and various ordinances that deal with different types of situations and problems that we find in our neighborhood. And this ordinance addresses several of those that we deal with a lot. Parking in the yards, people pulling their cars up in the yard, trailers, boats, broke down trailers, boats, trailers with junk on it, you name it, well, we have to deal with it. And over the course of time, we've really tried to refine so it is clear for the citizens and the neighborhood groups that help report these what's allowed, what's not allowed, and give us the tools that we need to enforce those. Over the last several months, Stanley Knight in the engineer's office, myself, Jackie Chosnick, the deputy city attorney, spent a great deal of time looking at these. We drove around for hours, literally, took pictures of various violations, and began to fine-tune the language to where we have it this evening, where we feel that we have an ordinance that gives us the tools, helps people to clearly understand what's allowed and what's not allowed, and gives us the opportunity to help the neighborhood and then those property owners that have to live by some of this to quickly and efficiently get some of these issues cleaned up. So I went into a little bit more detail on the first hearing, but I think all of you had an opportunity to look through it. We'd appreciate your support on this ordinance as we continue to address those issues in our neighborhoods. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions of the mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Any questions by members of the audience? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2013-39?
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Williamson,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Thank you. Ordinances for first reading.
Ordinance 2013-42, an ordinance to establish Fund Number 214, Wellness Fund.
What's the pleasure of the council? Mrs. Williamson?
I move for passage of ordinance 2013-42.
Mr. Downing?
Second.
Any questions prior to? Yes, sir.
Mr. President, Mike Jones, Controller. Before you have a ordinance to create a new fund dedicated to the wellness programs. Obviously, we've been through the budget process, and we do not have a single line item that grows faster than our health care premiums. To help combat this, the IAC Medical Trust and United Healthcare created a wellness stipend for each member to implement programs to help promote healthy behavior and to hopefully drive down or improve our health outcomes and drive down the costs. Last year, that stipend amounted to $9,500. To that end, the city did, in fact, put together a wellness committee. They have brought about several programs and activities to help with that, but a lot of the activities and programs that they would like to implement, we just haven't had the ability to do so. During our audit last year, I asked the State Board of Accounts if we could take our smoking surcharge, that those funds that for those folks that smoke, and apply it to a wellness fund in order to implement these very programs that we found that we couldn't fund. The result of that is this ordinance. We spent a lot of time with the field examiner as well as the head of the city and town's arm of the State Board of Accounts, and came up with this solution. And I would ask your approval.
What is the surcharge, if you would define that for?
Well, the folks that are smoking or use tobacco products have to pay a $250 a year penalty this year if they intend to keep smoking and use those tobacco products. Obviously, it's quite well proven that tobacco use causes health problems, and again, our rate is determined by how much we pay, and certainly those do drive up those costs.
So the $250 is the difference between what a smoker would pay and a non-smoker
Correct.
would pay for medical care. $524 or $514. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Jones? Yes, Mr.
How do you enforce that? By that I mean, I didn't sign up for it, but I continue to smoke. How do you check that out?
Well, everyone has to sign a document saying that they either do or don't. And quite frankly, if you lie on the document, you're no longer employed. Excuse me.
Okay.
That's unfortunately the stick part of that.
Here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions by members of the audience?
Perry Barbie, 3700 Redbud. On your smoking fee, you just sign a document and that's all it's going to be? Over at the hospital, we have a summer program like that where they have to do lab work, and that way there's no saying you did or you never did it. It's right there saying, boom. I think the raising it up is a little bit too much for between 2-something to 500. I think that's a little bit much to raise it up for them. I do agree that it's a serious problem, but I think raising it up dramatically is quite a bit.
Thank you. Any other comments by members of the audience? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2013-42?
Heidi?
Aye.
Blinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downey?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Ordinance 2013-43.
An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance, Tippecanoe County, Indiana, Uzo number 79.
What's the pleasure of the council? Mrs. Wallersmeyer.
I move that we hear and approve ordinance 2013-43.
Reynolds.
A second.
Comments by members of the Common Council? I believe this is, Mr. Chosnick, if you could explain it.
Yeah, this amendment merely extends the period of time that the Area Plan Commission had adopted while they've been studying the issue of raising elevations of properties or houses in floodplains. This is the second extension, but there's a lot of issues involved and a lot of agencies involved, and they're requesting an additional 6 months to July 1. It expires if this council doesn't act on December 31. And so the Area Plan Commission recommends an extension to July 1, and that's all this amendment is all about.
Does this affect any residents in the city of Lafayette?
I don't know if there are any houses in the city of Lafayette that would, in terms of the substantial damage, there's issues regarding what agency determines whether a house has substantial damage and could be elevated above the floodplain or just repaired. And so, I know along Wabash Avenue there were some, but I think those are gone. So I'm not sure there are any in Lafayette.
Most of those homes
vote on that. It doesn't affect any
Okay.
of our residents.
The Tippecanoe County is part of a unified zoning area, and basically the zoning ordinance applies to the city of Lafayette, West Lafayette, the unincorporated portions of Tippecanoe County, as well as Dayton and I believe Battleground's also in it. And so when the Area Plan Commission makes a determination, they're kind of the recommending body to these various governmental agencies, and it goes to each council, the city of Lafayette, city of West Lafayette, the county commissioners, for them to have a final vote to make it a continued unified zoning ordinance. That's the intent. There are exceptions where there are certain issues that might be relevant only to a particular jurisdiction, but generally it goes to all the bodies, and even though it may not impact the city of Lafayette as much as it will the county, where I think most of the properties are, for continued uniformity, they request all the governmental agencies to consider adoption of the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Cheswick. Any other questions by members of Common Council? Anyone in the audience wish to address this ordinance? There being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2013-43?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downey?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-0.
Next, we will have resolutions, and a resolution only takes one vote. So if these resolutions pass tonight, they go into effect immediately. So, Resolution 2013-18.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Lafayette, Indiana, recommending the participation of said city in the motor fuel budgeting program of the Indiana Bond Bank for the 2014 budget year, the execution of the qualified entity reimbursement agreement in connection therewith, and other related matters.
Brown?
Mr. President, I move we hear and approve Resolution 2013-18.
Heidi?
Second.
Yes, sir.
Mike Jones, Controller. I believe this is about the fifth year that I've asked you to participate in this fuel hedge. Again, this program came about due to the volatile fuel pricing that we experienced a few years ago, and the bond bank went to the state legislators and got some legislation passed that allowed smaller governmental units such as ourselves to pool our resources and come up with a fuel hedge program. And it really is like an insurance policy. It's not a physical purchase hedge. We still go through the bidding process that we would with our fuel. We select our vendor and negotiate all the details of those purchases. Again, the idea is just to give us budget protection in a volatile fuel market. The methodology of this hedge has not changed. We are allowed to hedge. We estimate our fuel usage, and we're allowed to put between 50% and 80% of our estimated usage in this bond bank pool. The bond bank then contracts with a commodity consultant, and they fix a price collar. There's a maximum and a minimum price, and these prices come from the New York Mercantile Exchange daily average prices. And for instance, if the NYMEX average fuel price, say gas price, is 10 cents higher than our cap, and we've hedged 1,000 gallons, they'll pay us $100. By the same token, if it drops below the floor, we pay them $100. But again, the idea is that we're able to stabilize our budget. The bond bank also charges an administration fee for this. This past year it was 0.038 per gallon. They suspect that this will drop again this year due to more governmental units taking advantage and participating in it. And as I said, I supplied some graphs for you that shows what the ceiling has been across the years, what the floor is, and what the actual pricing turned out to be. But it's been a very helpful budget tool. Even though we get money when it goes over, we still have to pay that. So it again just gives us budget protection.
Aside from well, I guess this is more for the benefit of the scouts so they'll understand what we're doing here. Aside from the fact that it gives us a reliable number to use in our budget for the cost of fuel, have we actually saved money doing this?
Well, again, we have received probably a little over 40,000, close to 50,000 more than what we've actually paid. But again, we did that to defray costs and again just smooths the cost peaks and valleys out for us.
Maybe we ought to get a lot of gas while it's cheap, right?
Yeah, well, holding it would be the problem. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any members of the audience wish to address this issue? None. Would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on Resolution 2013 on first and final?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downey?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you. Resolution 2013-19.
A resolution declaring the designation of certain real estate as an economic revitalization area and approving an application by Warrag Coatings, LLC for property tax abatement.
What's the pleasure of the council? Mrs. Williamson?
I move for passage of Resolution 2013-19 on first and final reading.
Clinker? Second. Comments? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Jody Hamilton with Greater Lafayette Commerce, and before you today you have an SB1 and application to designate a certain area as an ERA, and for that it's a 7-year tax abatement for Warwag Coatings, and at this point in time I'd like to ask Connie Hollis to come up and tell you a lot about the details of the project.
Hello, I'm Connie Hollis, plant controller for Vorwag Coatings. We're a German company, the only subsidiary here in the United States for this company. We manufacture paints and coatings mostly for the automotive industry. We're a small business. We have 38 employees currently, 1 shift only. We are currently entering into a new technology in the field, and business is growing. We're going to be purchasing over $2 million of equipment, which is what the tax abatement is for. And with that, we are going to add on a second shift at some point in time and expect to add 14 headcounts.
Is your paint water-based or?
Wow, yes. I'm impressed. That is the technology change. It used to be solvent-borne, and we're going to a water-borne technology. And then once we get that business, we'll have some of both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the council, we certainly would appreciate your support on this tax abatement. As you heard, they are a small business here in our community. For those of you who've been here a long time, you probably remember the location as Egyptian Lacquer, but now it's Vorwag, which is the German company. Their primary customers are Mercedes and BMW, and they are making the switch to this new waterborne paint to keep them competitive in the global marketplace and to also meet, I'm sure, new stringent requirements like we're all facing in some of those areas. And so this is a great opportunity to help this business grow, to create new jobs, to help the business take that next step in the global marketplace, in that global competitiveness, and still create those jobs right here in our community. So we certainly would appreciate your support on that. We're looking forward to them being able to grow and continuing to grow and help them make them a piece of our diverse economic landscape here in the community. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions that you might have, but we certainly do appreciate your support tonight on this resolution.
Any members of the audience wish to address this issue? Being none, would the clerk then conduct a roll call vote on Resolution 2013-19?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downey?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7 to 0, or resolution passes 7 to 0.
Thank you. Resolution 2013-20.
A resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Lafayette to enter into an interlocal agreement with the city of Lafayette, city of West Lafayette, county of Tippecanoe, and the area plan commission of Tippecanoe County.
What's the pleasure of the council, Mr. Downey?
Move to pass and hear and pass Resolution 2013-20.
Mr. Reynolds?
Second.
Comments? Yes, ma'am.
Jenny Leshny, city engineer. Our MPO partners are interested in entering into this interlocal agreement to purchase some traffic counters for the purpose of some of the planning activities that we do for transportation in the county. This will be 80% federal funds, 20% local funds, and our portion is $271.30. And we are asking that you authorize the mayor to enter into this interlocal agreement.
Probably the least amount of money that's ever been asked. Council anywhere.
It's the least I've seen, that's
Bill
for
Barber,
sure.
can you get any more of them? Any questions? Mrs. Leslie? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments by members of the audience? Vote on Resolution 2013-20.
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downey?
Aye.
Resolution passes 7 to 0.
Thank you. Reports of standing committees. Reports of special committees. Reports of the mayor. Miscellaneous and new business. Reports of councilmen. Public comment. Fellas, talk to you a little bit about this. One of the tenets and oaths that scouts take, I believe, is an oath of respect. If I remember correctly. It was a long time ago. But at some of these meetings, some citizens have not shown respect. And consequently, we've had to write a kind of an addendum at the concerning this public comment. And it says, and I'm not going to speak too quickly, we welcome public comment and encourage active participation at this meeting. However, in order to proceed officially, public comment will be limited to 2 areas of this meeting. First, there will be an opportunity for public comment on ordinances or resolutions currently before the council. These comments should be limited to 3 minutes in length and be germane to the relevancy of the ordinance or resolution. All participants will be required to maintain a high level of civility, respect, and courtesy for everyone present. Now, I guess my bottom line on that, it's kind of sad that we have to make statements like that. They're things that every scout, I think, swears an oath to. So you fellas, as you go through life, remember that, to show respect, civility, and courtesy, whatever you're involved in. It's extremely important. You will gain more respect from people than you can imagine if you follow those tenets and that oath. So, given that, are there any comments by members of the city citizens? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Perry Barber, 3700 Redbud. First, I'd like to thank the kids for coming to Scouts tonight. It's great to see all you guys here tonight. And second on my agenda tonight, I'd like to commemorate the great city of our city. When we had a storm a couple weeks ago, everybody just put their hearts and soul to make sure people they didn't know was taken care of. I know a lot of people was out of power for almost a week, and people gave, and I want to thank the city for their kindness.
I think we all feel they did a marvelous job
Yes,
and put in a lot of hours, a lot of extra hard work.
absolutely. And I'd like to thank the our great city we had late getting the leaves off the trees, and I want to thank the street crew to clean them up in a timely manner when they did fill it up, because when they started picking them up, it was way after the schedule they set out ahead of time, and I want to thank them. They did a great job on that. And I had heard comments throughout the whole city, not just my area, but throughout the whole city, how great job they did, and I want to publicly tell them they did a great job.
Thank you. I think the mayor will underscore all of those things in a communication to the employees.
So yeah. And I want to, time's far about that. And I wanted to encourage everybody to come out to the the state's biggest and the oldest Christmas Day parade this Sunday at 2 p.m. downtown. Unfortunately, I won't be there for the first time in 16 years because I got to work.
Thank you.
But and the last thing, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Good. You too.
I think we will all underscore or underline Mr. Barbie's point of wishing everybody a very happy holiday season. Mr. Heidi?
I move to adjourn.
Second, Mr. Clinker. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Thank you very much. Thank you, Scouts.